because of its monopolization of the assets of the country, of the wealth of the country, and also the systems in which they are able to travel across the world to take the precious stones of our country, the diamonds and the gold, and to sell them. These do not go back into the pockets of the people. These go back to line and to fuel the system of patronage. So when you cut this off, when you cut off the access of these people to international markets where they sell the wealth of the people for their own benefit and to sustain their hold on power, you can only improve the livelihoods of the people. You are not killing the people. What kills the people is letting these channels for the dictatorships to continue to survive, to flourish. And this is the question on the economic sanctions. They are not general sanctions on the people of Zimbabwe. They are targeted, specific to the members of the regime who continue to perpetrate human rights abuses.
Thank you.
Yes. When we talk about the sanctions, that we are calling for the targeted sanctions, which will maximize the effect on the military regime and its cronies. In our country, that since 1996, there are at least 3,200 villages forcibly displaced or being burned down or destroyed in eastern part of Burma alone. And the regime also used as a rape, as a weapon against the ethnic women, as the state policy. And what has been the international community has been doing? There has been a successive UN resolutions, both at the Human Rights Commission and now Human Rights Council and at the General Assembly. But these resolutions are non-binding. And we call for a resolution at the Security Council level, which was shot down by double veto by the Russia and China, who are helping the military regime with various means, whether they be militarily or economically. And the regime also made at least $100 million per month out of the natural gas sale alone to Thailand, its neighboring countries. And the regime will continue to suppress its own people if there is no action or pressure putting against them. That's why we are calling these sanctions. And these sanctions will affect the military regime and its cronies. After the General Assembly last year at the United Nations, that the regime representative called to lift those sanctions. And this is the first time that they call to lift the sanctions in front of the international community. And also that the regimes associates the business cronies also complaining about these sanctions because they are effective. They are affected them. That's why we are calling that the maximize the targeted, especially the financial sanctions. The United States has imposed the Tom Lantos, Burma Jade Act, which is biting the military regime, which is affecting the military regime, which will bring about in our country the change in our country as soon as possible so that people will not suffer anymore. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to combine two questions from the audience to finish up. One question, which I think perhaps Mr. Ramon Castillo would like to start with, is how do you view President Obama's approach towards Cuba? Do you believe opening relations with Cuba will positively affect human rights in Cuba? And another question that simply asks about whether the United States, Western states should engage in dialogue with authoritarian regimes in the Human Rights Council. I suppose many of our panelists might have a reaction to one or both of those. Briefly, please.
Si va a mejorar la situación de los derechos humanos en Cuba. Y habla en el programa.
Indudablemente.
Undoubtedly, the policy of Barack Obama is completely different, of course, from the previous policies of Bush. And this is also happening with Cuba, and the initiative that Obama has taken to eliminate the restrictions to travelling and family remittances for Cubans is going to contribute, or is already contributing, to the improvement of situation between the two countries. And it is clear, without any doubt, that it's going to help human rights in the island as well, because the United States have proposed a different kind of policies, and they're going to try to not follow confrontation but a policy of cooperation, which is a fairly reasonable kind of policy, and it corresponds to the situation today. We think that the international community and the United States have a duty to help improve human rights. They have to pursue their commitment to human rights. They have this task to improve the human rights